Welcome to Excerpts from the Six Enneads by Plotinus, Vegetarian. Beauty, Part 2 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Plotinus, Vegetarian, was one of the most influential philosophers in antiquity, after Plato, Vegetarian, and Aristotle, Vegetarian. In his philosophy, there are three principles: the one, the intellect, and the soul. Historians of the 19th century invented the term Neoplatonism and applied it to Plotinus's philosophy. His metaphysical writings have inspired centuries of Islamic, Jewish, Christian, and Gnostic metaphysicians. The issue of happiness is one of Plotinus's greatest imprints on Western thought, as he was one of the first to introduce the idea that happiness is attainable only within consciousness. From all accounts, his personal and social life exhibited the highest moral and spiritual standards. He disliked talking about his own life, disapproved of meat, and refused medications containing animal substances. Plotinus's final words were, "Try to raise the divine in yourselves to the divine in the all." Long before his physical departure from this world, the philosopher entrusted two of his closest disciples, Porphyry and Emilius, with the extensive task of collecting, revising, and compiling his writings. Thus, the Six Enneads was published to share Plotinus's precious insights with countless generations. It consists of 54 treatises, varied in length, arranged in 6 sets of 9 Ennead, in 3 volumes. The Enneads are sorted by levels of sophistication, starting with the first Ennead, which emphasizes ethical topics. Let us continue with the 6th tractate of the first Ennead, which further expounds on how our soul addresses our beauty and where to find the ideal form within. The first Ennead, 6th tractate, Beauty, Section 3. And the soul includes a faculty peculiarly addressed to beauty, one incomparably sure in the appreciation of its own, never in doubt whenever any lovely thing presents itself for judgment. Or perhaps the soul itself acts immediately, affirming the beauty where it finds something accordant with the ideal form within itself, using this idea as a canon of accuracy in its decision. But what accordance is there between the material and that which antedates all matter? On what principle does the architect, when he finds the house standing before him, correspondent with his inner ideal of a house, pronounce it beautiful? Is it not that the house before him, the stones apart, is the inner idea, stamped upon a mass of exterior matter, the indivisible, exhibited in diversity? So with the perceptive faculty, discerning in certain objects the ideal form which has bound and controlled shapeless matter, opposed in nature to an idea, seeing further stamped upon the common shapes, some shape excellent above the common, it gathers into unity what still remains fragmentary, catches it up and carries it within, no longer a thing of parts, and presents it to the ideal principle as something concordant and congenial, a natural friend. The joy here is like that of a good man, who discerns in a youth the early signs of a virtue consonant with the achieved perfection within his own soul. The beauty of color is also the outcome of a unification. It derives from shape, from the conquest of the darkness inherent in matter, by the pouring in of light, the unembodied, which is a rational principle and an ideal form. Hence it is that fire itself is splendid beyond all material bodies, holding the rank of ideal principle to the other elements, making ever upwards the subtlest and sprightliest of all bodies, as very near to the unembodied, itself alone admitting no other, all the others penetrated by it. For they take warmth, but this is never cold. It has color primally. They receive the form of color from it, hence the splendor of its light, the splendor that belongs to the idea, and all that has resisted, and is but uncertainly held by its light, remains outside of beauty, as not having absorbed the plenitude of the form of color. And harmonies unheard in sound create the harmonies we hear, and wake the soul to the consciousness of beauty, showing it the one essence in another kind. For the measures of our sensible music are not arbitrary, but are determined by the principle whose labor is to dominate matter and bring pattern into being. Thus far of the beauties of the realm of sense, images and shadow pictures, fugitives that have entered into matter, to adorn and to ravish where they are seen. Section 4. But there are earlier and loftier beauties than these. In the sense-bound life, we are no longer granted to know them, but the soul, taking no help from the organs, sees and proclaims them. To the vision of these we must mount, leaving sense to its own low place. As it is not for those to speak of the graceful forms of the material world, who have never seen them or known their grace, men born blind, let us suppose, in the same way those must be silent upon the beauty of noble conduct and of learning and all that order, who have never cared for such things. Nor may those tell of the splendor of virtue, who have never known the face of justice and of moral wisdom, beautiful beyond the beauty of the evening and of dawn. Such vision is for those only who see with the soul's sight, and at the vision they will rejoice, and awe will fall upon them, and a trouble deeper than all the rest could ever stir, for now they are moving in the realm of truth. This is the spirit that beauty must ever induce, wonderment and a delicious trouble, longing and love, and a trembling that is all delight. For the unseen, all this may be felt as for the seen, and this the souls feel for it, every soul in some degree, but those the more deeply that are, the more truly apt to this higher love. Just as all take delight in the beauty of the body, but all are not stung as sharply, and those only that feel the keener wound are known as lovers. Section 5. These lovers, then, lovers of the beauty outside of sense, must be made to declare themselves. What you feel in the presence of the grace you discern in actions, in manners, in sound morality, in all the works and fruits of virtue, in the beauty of souls. When you see that you yourselves are beautiful within, what you feel. What is this Dionysiac exaltation that thrills through your being, this straining upwards of all your soul, this longing to break away from the body and live sunken within the veritable self? These are no other than the emotions of souls under the spell of love. But what is it that awakens all this passion? No shape, no color, no grandeur of mass. All is for a soul, something whose beauty rests upon no color. For the moral wisdom the soul enshrines, and all the other hueless splendor of the virtues. It is that you find in yourself, or admire in another. Loftiness of spirit, righteousness of life, disciplined purity, courage of the majestic face, gravity, modesty that goes fearless and tranquil and passionless, and shining down upon all the light of godlike intellection. For more information, please visit sacred-texts.com.
If you change your diet to 100% plant-based, you have enormous power. You can prevent and even reverse heart disease. Dr. Neil Barnard, MD, FACC, vegan.
Inspiring viewers, it was a pleasure that you could join us today.